Hello and welcome to a brief opinion. I am your host, Jose, and today we're going to be discussing the news, the articles, the things that have come up, and things we have yet to discuss. So, I've been gone for a while. The main reason is simply that life happens. More importantly, life will continue to happen. But today, we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about everything and anything that comes to mind. And at the end of the day, remember that these are just opinions. Do not get your feelings hurt. Do not begin to doubt who you are. You are who you are, even if who you are is awful. So let's begin. Titan has fallen. And no, I'm not talking about the planet, nor am I talking about the video game, nor am I talking about the Disney, or rather the movie that came out. I don't think it was Disney. Although the way their movies are bombing, you could say they're falling. No, I'm talking about a submersible, aka not a submarine. Yes, you heard this right, folks. A submersible. Unlike, kind of like the upset Legos, what are they called? Build the blocks, an offset brand. You can't legally call it a submarine, so you call it a submersible, meaning that it submerges as opposed to a submarine, which submarine is. Not really sure. A Titan fell. Now, this submersible apparently was built by scotch tape and bubblegum. No, not literally scotch tape and bubblegum, but it might as well have. It was an old little tin can that they used to go down to the bottom of the ocean to where the wreckage of the Titanic is. 5 individuals died, one of them a 19-year-old rich boy who went over with his father because it fell over Father Day's weekend. So this kid, alongside the other 5 individuals, well, four, including the CEO and driver of this company, whose name I don't remember, and neither will anybody by, I don't know, next year. Well, they crashed. They imploded. In fact, the news, which is why I mentioned this, talked about it for 3 days. Apparently, they had 24 hours, then 72, then 27, then 12 hours. They did a countdown on various news networks. It was a hot topic. Are the 5 people alive or dead? There were memes made about it. There were comparisons to a boat that sank in the middle of the Mediterranean with about 72 people who no one searched for. And what happened was, when these boats sank in the Mediterranean, and what they often do, the Italian Navy, as it often happens to be, and every other navy in the Mediterranean, in the European side, and of course the African side too, let us not joke ourselves. The African nations don't do anything either. They simply say, well, they risk their own lives. They, well, if they die, they die. But in this case, the 5 billionaire, well, they got to search for them. And the news and the Navy, well, apparently the Navy knew that they imploded within hours of them going missing. But they kept their mouths shut. Apparently, they told the Coast Guard who was looking for them. But the news was either oblivious or they knew and they kept the story going for 3 days. Well, 4, 5, 6, 7. About a week now. Now, what does this mean, you may wonder? Well, my opinion is that the reason the Navy, the reason nobody mentioned this, the reason the military didn't mention this to the public, aka to the news, or the so-called alternative news, these so-called new media, which is not really different than old media, except that now they call it a podcast or a YouTube channel or a Rumble or a Mastodon or a masturbation. Whatever they call it, it sucks. It's awful. It's no different than old media, except now they're working by themselves and they're slowly becoming larger. Congratulations, people. You figured out how companies get formed. Next thing you know, you guys will be the new conglomerates of media. Give it another 10, perhaps 20 or 30 years. People will die and people will be replaced, but new media will eventually, much like new Coca-Cola, will just be called classic Coca-Cola. So, why was the Titan not mentioned to the public or to the news or to the old news or to the whatever news, whatever they want to call themselves? Why wasn't it mentioned by the military that it imploded? Well, my opinion, my brief opinion, because of money. Why will people tune in if it's not to hear about the Titan? Well, perhaps they found it, they may say, or let's see what the update is. And in the meantime, let's show them commercials about Viagra or about Ozempic or about Clobato, that gay drug, to where, well, not, it's not gay, but it's, prevents you from being, well, it makes your HIV undetectable, indetectable, disappear, much like a condom in prom night. It makes it pass the hole. Uh, So, perhaps they're selling you Skittles. Who the hell knows? They're selling you something if you tune in, so the ratings of the news networks goes up. The military is also funded, funny enough, by taxpayer money, a lot of which is paid by corporations of or individuals buying products from corporations. So, why tell the public? So they can stop tuning in, so they can stop hashtag Titan. You mean the Titanic? No. Titanic, all these old media resurface. People sold ads, people sold things, and the military kept on rocking. This is nothing more than a dystopian society that we live in that's driven by neo-slavery, neo-consumerism, and more importantly, corruption. Why wasn't the public told? So that companies can promote their products in old media via commercials, and in new media like YouTube or podcasting via, well, commercials. Now you may say Jose, or you may call me Gato, which means cat in Spanish, or Niku, which means cat in Japanese, or Kaka, which means cat in French, and it doesn't. But you can call me Gato Jose, you can simply call me G. Call me the big G. You may say, Jose, all I hear on New Medium podcast is about products like Bluetooth, like ZipRecruiter, like Shopify, which sounds like Spotify. Is it the same company? I have no idea. But this has been put on Spotify. So Spotify, you rock. It's, Viagra, or Bluetooth, whatever the hell it's called, therapy, the thing where you can go and get your hair, whatever the hell it's called, or other various companies that are nothing more than small companies that are owned by larger corporations. So at the end of the day, trust me, the big boys are getting their money. It's just that these smaller companies get bought out or get invented and then owned by larger companies. So you may not hear about a shampoo that you are used to buying at the grocery store, but you would hear about a product being sold to you on a podcast, and you may say, I don't buy it. I don't buy that product. Well, somebody does. And if you're losing your hair, why not try to keep it with Keeps? This is not being promoted by Keeps, but that's essentially how they do it. They promote all these stupid products. You know them. I know them. Do they work? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I just Rogaine. It kind of works. I might just go to Turkey and get a hair transplant. I don't know. So, you may say, Jose, has Titan fallen? I say no, but the U.S. has fallen to corporations. We need an FDR, and all we got is an RFK Jr., a BIDEN, and a Trump card. At the end of the day, 77-year-old men in their 70s and a man who's 69, which is very nice, who will be 70 next year, are our potential new presidents. Quite frankly, I prefer RFK Jr., if nothing else, because his age is 69 and he's buff. And he was on Joe Rogan, and I like Joe Rogan. But my man's should buy Keeps. And have you noticed that he has never promoted Keeps? I wonder why. Anyway, that's it on the Titan story. On to the next segment. Wagner Group came to town and I missed them coming in. The Ukraine war rages on and a lot of people are gonna die. Wagner Group, oops, sorry about that. Wagner Group has fallen. Another fallen. I forgot the name of that guy. Binyashko, I think is his name. on Sunday night, Sunday. Maybe it was Saturday night. I don't know. They got a different time zone over there. He said that a lot of his troops were, well, had been attacked by, the Russian Ministry of Defense in the south region. So he decided to march onto Koskierbo, or whatever the name of that city is. He marched, he took the city, and he said that he was on his way to Moscow because Vladimir Putin, not Lenin, but Putin, was essentially an idiot. He said that the war and that the Russians were being misled into this conflict and that he was going to put an end to it or something along those lines. So the Wagner group, they killed a couple of people. They shot a helicopter down. The West was going nuts. Of course, the war. They felt like Russian Civil War. Hashtag we did it. USA #1. Hashtag CIA paid off this guy to commit an act of war, a treasonous act. Vladimir Putin apparently fled to St. Petersburg, a lovely city. It used to be called Stalingrad, or maybe not. I don't know. It was called something else. Stonietsko? I don't know. Some other name. It eludes me right now. But anyway, apparently he was leaving on a plane. There were memes about, I don't need ammunition, I need a ride. Hilarious. Zelensky looked amazing. This could have quite frankly been the end of the Ukraine war, but it was not meant to be. Why would it? And if anything, the CIA probably stopped it. I mean, they were probably going towards Moscow. The CIA called this guy and said, "Hey, we'll give you $1 million if you shut it down and go to fucking Belarus." Putin was like, "Yeah, I'll bump that up. So now you have 2 million." Then Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, or rather dictator, which is what he is, paid him another million. So then he went into exile to Belarus. Now, it did not end with a bang, but a whimper. And a lot of the Wagner group, the ones that took part in this revolt, got demoted or got their contracts ended or whatever. The ones that didn't participate in this coup d'état are going to have to sign a contract with the Russian military, which is what happens. Like every time you have a mercenary group, they always rebel because this or because of that. In this case, the Wagner group chief, whatever his name is, Bromishki, you think I would have done my research, which I did. I just can't remember his name. He's going into exile into Belarus. Apparently, Lukashenko was the mediator. Apparently, the CIA was somehow involved. Apparently, the U.S. had intelligence that this was going to happen, but they decided to keep it quiet. Because they were afraid that Russia was going to blame them. Of course, Russia did, and of course, the CIA was perhaps involved. I mean, who knows? I mean, they might have. It's hard to say. What is not hard to say is that it ended. Now, while it was happening, quite frankly, it would have been nice had the Ukrainian offensive had started with, this guy, the Wagner group, marching towards Moscow. Of course, he didn't. Of course, the Wagner group created a little bit of chaos, so he probably, stopped Ukrainians from dying and Russians from dying for a little while. I probably been saved the lives of a couple of Iranian drones, hashtag RIP Iranian drones, which are just piloted by little people from Iran. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they are. They're not unmanned. They have little people inside of them. A real tragedy, if you ask me. But what are you gonna do, man? Iran be crazy, yo. So this ended. This guy from the Wagner group, the head chief, ended up going to Belarus in exile. I think they said rumors that he's going to be the next president of Belarus. Of course, what you got to understand is that Lukashenko has a couple of sons. He's somewhat old, but he'll probably live another 40 years on us. Like, I'll probably be dead before Lukashenko dies. So who knows? The Wagner group ended as we know it. So no more mercenaries in Russia. Vladimir Putin looks weak, but war marches on. People will die. In fact, people are dying tonight. In fact, during this whole rebellion, the city of Kiev, which used to be called Kiev and Rus, hashtag Ukraine, was bombarded by Russia. The offensive continues. People are dying, and The end will be coming here soon, within the next 10 to 20 years. Trust me. I read Peter Seihan's book, and he says that the Russians, well, he essentially predicted that the Russians were going to either lash out to Western Europe, which they did, but sadly, that's really all I have for the Ukrainian war. This is the last, well, this is the end of the second segment. Hashtag Wagner RIP. Trains and more trains. Another derailment now in Montana. Apparently, like 10 freight trains, carts, whatever, went into the Yellowstone River. You're never going to guess what they had in them. Chemicals. Hashtag poisoning America. Hashtag it was a good run. I mean, the United States is like what, like 270 years old, more or less, 240, 250, whatever. And then so, like we haven't had a good track record. Uh, like we have a lot of land, and a lot of that has been essentially neutered because of all this derailment. So another freight train collapse. What do you know? Why? Because the infrastructure is bad, and because these companies, instead of fixing the infrastructure that's already there, instead of the U.S. government, the federal government, aka the federal hashtag federal papers, or the states. I mean, the state governments suck, the federal government sucks, the company sucks. Instead of reinvesting in our freaking infrastructure, perhaps add high-speed rail lines like they do in other countries like China. Hashtag China is better. I mean, what happens? A trail derails because the track has not had maintenance done in fucking 100 years. Who knows? The United States was founded in 1776. Montana was founded in what? 1849? Huh? 1890? Who knows, man? Nobody knows. That's the thing with this country. Nobody knows when things were founded. All they know is they had tracks, and they were good, and now they are not. And then to top it all off, apparently the derailment in Ohio, hashtag Palestine, free Palestine. Well, apparently the chemicals within the trains, within the cart trains, that they blew up, that created a freaking mushroom cloud out of, freaking Adventure Time. The leech came out of that freaking thing. You've seen Adventure Time. There's a thing about a bomb exploding. There's a big mushroom cloud with like skeletons coming out of it, and this thing called the leech was brought into this world. Well, that's what happened in Ohio, Palestine. A lot of these people are gonna have cancer. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. 5, 10, 20 years. Kids, women, men, cats, freaking fish. They're going to get mutated. And apparently, well, wouldn't you know it, the little train carts, like the trains, little carts with the chemicals, with little containers with chemicals. Well, apparently they were stable. And the company said, let's blow them up. And the reason they did it was because they wanted to keep the trains going. Real 1930s Germany here. They blew them up. They poisoned, like 20,000 people, probably more, because they hit the water, they hit the air. Probably the entire state of Ohio is going to be freaking cancer rates are going to go up. All for profit. You know what I'm saying? Like the same companies that cut down jobs, the same companies that keep like the freaking workers. They have like 2 workers on trains. That like one of them has to check to ensure the entire train is good to go in like freaking a minute. And it's like, yeah, we have a guy. You ever heard that expression? There is a guy. Well, there is a guy for the trains, like one guy, and there's like another one that I guess covers his breaks. Like the first break every 5 hours or whatever it is. They got a couple of sick time days, and apparently they have to like ask a month in advance. So like, hey man, can I get a have a doctor's appointment next month for this weird cough I've been having for the last 2 months? He's like, oh well, hey, didn't you start working here 4 months ago? I was like, yeah, no, it's actually been 6. Oh wow, I never seen you. Like, yeah, I'm on the other side of the train. Oh, that's probably why. This freaking train is like 40 miles long. I don't see you. Yeah, I developed this cough. Weird. It comes with blood and phlegm. I think I'm gonna have consumption. It's like, no, bro. What you have is lymphoma, or something far worse. It's like you go there and they're like, yeah, your lungs are done. You have black lung. I don't know how it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like all these companies are horrible. They blew up the chemicals in Ohio because they wanted to keep the trains running for profit. They derail another train. Is it the same company? I mean, it doesn't matter. There's like three companies, bro. They run all the trains in North America, even down in Mexico. And if you don't understand, like look them up, bro. It's like three companies or four or whatever the hell they are. So real good. Thanks a lot, Biden. And to top it all off, apparently Biden's son is not guilty, or he's guilty, but he's not guilty. So real nice country we got here. Uh, if I do say so myself, you know what I mean? Like Jesus Christ, this is horrible. This is worse than that Titan, where five people died on five billionaires. Well, that's it for this segment. Now, this is the end, folks. You don't have to stay here, or wait, you cannot go home. Or wait, you don't have to go home, but you cannot stay here. With this, we bring it to a close. But before I leave, I want to leave with one message. And that is a message of homelessness and that hope that I feel every time I walk to my local Walgreens and I see four homeless people or four people asking for money, one on each corner of the street wearing matching t-shirts. And it's one sort of youth camp or some sort of program or whatever. They're walking in the middle of traffic, not like when the lights turn red, they walk in the middle of the lane with a little like sticker or whatever, a little sign, and like a little one of those big Cheeto Puff containers with like a hole in it where they can put the money in. And they always like have matching T-shirts. I know they're not homeless, but what are they? Are they? I know they're asking for money, but they're very bold when they do this. And I don't know if you notice, but if they're not a couple of matching T-shirt fellas, they're homeless. You know, it's like it's either a couple of first of all, young-looking individuals who are oftentimes of African American descent or Caucasian, asking for money in matching T-shirts. What are they doing? Has anybody noticed this in any other cities? You know, I live in the south of the country. Is this happening in the North Territories? I don't know. But there's also like more homeless people. It used to be like one every other corner or every third stop sign, stop light or whatever, you know, like the lights that turn green, yellow, and red. What are those called? Traffic stop signs, I think. Traffic lights. So it used to be like one homeless every like fourth or third or whatever, you know, light, like on intersections that were heavily traveled. But now it's like they're everywhere, man. Like now they're even on stop signs asking for money, and it's like, well, now there's like three or four asking for money. Like there's one in one corner, one on the other, one on the other, and then one on the other. And they're all asking for money. They all have like, and then now there's like women and children, right? Like there's always like these women from like the Middle East, and you know, and you ask me, well, how do you know she's from the Middle East? It's like, well, she has one of those burqas on, or hijab, or whatever they're called, hijab, I think. And it always like has like 5 or 6 kids asking for money, and I'm like, bro, like, come on, dog, like I can't even. And there's also like other ladies, like different ethnicities with like 4 or 5 kids running around, and it's like first of all, it's like I know you might need the money, but like I also know they scam. Like it's very privileged, very privileged. It's very common in like China and other countries. Like this is a very common tactic people use where they have kids and then they're asking for money, which I mean they might need it, but like come on, man. Like you have women with like 5 kids asking for money. You have a raggedy dude asking for money, saying, "Hey, homeless, anything helps." You have a veteran, so you have a veteran on one corner, a shaggy old regular homeless dude on another one. On another, you had a woman with like 5 kids, and on the other corner, you have a couple, like a guy and a chick, and with a dog, and they have a shopping cart from like Walmart, because like for some reason like it's either Walmart or a grocery store at your local state, whatever it might be. Maybe it's a Bucky's, I don't know. Maybe it's a Dollar General, Dollar Tree. Actually, it's a Dollar General, like the green ones. Not Family Dollar. You don't see a lot of Family Dollars, but you do see a lot of like Dollar General and like Walmart, and then like maybe Bucky's. I've seen a couple of Best Buy, which those are nice. They're sway. And if you don't know what a Best Buy looks like, they have like yellow cards, which I bought a PC from Best Buy once. and he broke down. They charged me like $200 for the insurance. It's a whole deal. I don't like Best Buy anymore. But anyway, the homeless situation in America is getting out of control. So I'll probably do a deep dive next time. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I am your host, Jose. You can call me Top G, or you can call me G, since Andrew Taint. I was gonna say Andrew Tate. I mean Taint. His name is already Tate. Since the Top G is in jail for trafficking women. Who knew that Matrix was, like if was gonna fight back on that one. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I've been your host, Jose, and remember, these are just opinions. Opinions are the last thing that we have in this nation. Do not let your freedom of speech go, because it's the last to go. Because it's the first to go. And once the first goes, then that's it. I mean, it's the first to go, and it's the last to go. I know I butcher that, but just know I love you. Gato out.